Hey folks, Tito, Jeff Thitoff here with you with the Buckeye Blitz. Thanks so much for tuning in. Lots to talk about today going on with the Buckeyes. Start off with some tough news. Oh, by the way, follow me on Twitter @ThitHappens. The first thing I want to talk about, though, we do a lot of football to get into, as we normally do, but we'll start with basketball. And this is not the best news, in my opinion, for the Ohio State men's basketball team. But Devin Royal from Pickerington Central, who's been here at Ohio State for 3 years now, is, according to Adam Jardy from Columbus Dispatch, entering the transfer portal. Now, Royal is got one season left of eligibility. He can go play that, so that's what he's doing. He's a 6'6", 230-pounder, and he's been, look, in his last two seasons, averaged about 13, a little more, almost 14 points a game over the last couple of years. Over his career, he's averaging a little over 10 points and nearly 5 rebounds a game. So I like Devin Royal. I like what he can do. He's led the team in rebounding the last 2 years, 6.9 as a sophomore, 5.7 as a junior. He was Ohio's Mr. Basketball back in 2023. So he's entering the portal. Doesn't mean he'll transfer. It's likely he will, but it's not a lock that he will. So we'll monitor the situation. I hope Royal comes back. When I talked about this before, among the Buckeyes that I hope come back, he's the third after, obviously, Bynum and Judy Mobley, probably in that order, and then Devin Royal. But I hope Royal comes back. I hope this is just him testing the waters and let him coming back. But, again, it could be a money thing. Who knows? I'm not trying to speculate on that, I guess, while I am speculating. But Devin Royal, though, for the Ohio State Buckeyes men's basketball team, looks like he's transferring after 3 years with Ohio State. All right, let's get into football now. Ohio State's had a few practices so far. 51 new players. That's a lot of new players to incorporate into the system. And I don't think it's ideal for what Ryan Day would like to have in most seasons. Some are transfers, some are freshmen. I know Ohio State lost some players too, obviously with the draft, but 51 new players this year. And all 51 players, regardless of where you come from, you could be a superstar All-American somewhere else. Doesn't matter. When you come in, you have to do that whole black stripe thing. Get the black stripe removed off your helmet to show you are like, I don't want to say officially part of the team. You're already part of the team, but it shows you've arrived. That's something Urban Meyer started to do when he was here, and now Ryan Day has continued that. But all the 51 players, they have that black stripe on their helmets when they join the team. This weekend, there were a couple ones that had their black stripes removed. The first one, former LSU receiver Kyle Parker. He came on board, and there's, Ohio State, obviously loaded receiver room, as always, but he got his black stripe removed. Also, Earl Little Jr., who's a safety that came over from Florida State, he had his stripe removed as well. He will likely play as a nickel for Ohio State, but Matt Patricia likes him, so we'll see where that goes. And with Ohio State, but 2 players removed their black stripes over the weekend. All right, let's move over to other news, because I got some sound from Cortez Hankton, who is the new wide receivers coach for Ohio State, comes over from LSU, and also from Jeremiah Smith. Now, Hankton, he was at LSU for 4 years, had some good moments there. They were among the top 2 in the offense of the SEC in 2023. They were number 1. 2024, they're number 2. There's been receivers. Malik Neighbors came through there. Brian Thomas Jr. came through there. So he's done a good job there as a passing coordinator, wide receivers coach, and then also a co-offensive coordinator. So he's done quite a bit there and had success there. He comes in also, by the way, he was there when Jaden Daniels had his big year where he counted for 50 touchdowns as a senior and threw for 412. And the offense had Jaden Daniels had 412.2 yards of offense per game. So anyway, the offense solid, receivers solid under Hankton, and we will talk to him now. We'll hear what he had to say. Cortez Hankton comes over, and big shoes to fill, right? With Brian Hartline on the way out now and headed down to coach and be the head coach down there in the state of Florida. But Hankton talked about why he wanted to come to Ohio State. Here is Cortez Hankton, courtesy of 97.1 The Fan.
Just challenge him to be more of a student of the game. Man, this is the place to come to. Hey, when Hart left, you kind of look like, okay, that room is loaded over there. And when I got the phone call and had conversations and communications, I could see myself as a fit here. And so it's even better than I would ever have imagined.
So Hankton excited to be here. Ohio State lucky to have him. Look, the guy did produce at LSU. Not so tough for him. I mean, not such a bad thing for him that he gets to come in and inherit Jeremiah Smith. Here is Hankton talking about inheriting someone like Jeremiah Smith.
It's a blessing. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. He's a generational talent. But more importantly, he's a fine young man. He's a great kid. And he yearns to learn football. He yearns to be coached. And he's like that every single day. He's been a sponge. We've put a lot on his plate, but he's handled it well.
Heard nothing but great things about Jeremiah Smith as far as being coachable. Dude's got all the talent in the world. And Hankton comes in now. And Jeremiah Smith, I don't care who wins Bolitnikovs or whatever. Jeremiah Smith's the most talented receiver in the country. Don't try to tell me otherwise. Here is Cortez Hankton. How can he make Jeremiah Smith even better? Let's hear this.
Just challenge him to be more of a student of the game. Embrace it all. Learn conceptual football. Being better in terms of catching that ball and transitioning into a ball carrier and being explosive that way. And it's shown. And so I'm excited to see how he continues to grow.
And that's what I'm excited about, to see how and if he uses Jeremiah Smith differently. Because Jeremiah Smith, if you just throw the ball to him every down, they're going to win the games. That's what I think. I know it's a video game mentality there, right? But Jeremiah Smith, though, is that damn good. He really is. Jeremiah Smith, after the Miami game, when they lost this year to the Hurricanes in the CFP, and he was asked about offers in the offseason. And he said that he got a big push from somebody. Wouldn't say who it was. He says, I think everyone here knows who it was who was asked that question. It sounds like what he's pointing to is it was probably Miami. The Hurricanes probably came after Jeremiah Smith. I don't blame anybody for trying it. I'm glad Jeremiah Smith stuck around. I think his NIL valuation is just south of $5 million. So Jeremiah Smith, now this year, though, it's different for him. Think about when this is his third year, his final year, no matter what, he's going pro after this year. Jeremiah Smith, though, talked about it's kind of different this year for him. He is the oldest receiver in the room, in the wide receiver room, that is. Here's Jeremiah Smith talking about being the oldest wide receiver in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how time flies. I'm going into my junior year now. I remember I was just a little freshman out here running around making plays. But now, like you said, I'm the oldest guy in the room. So, I got to continue to come in each and every day and continue to Ohio State standard as a receiver. And the guys before us, they did it every day here. So I got to continue to do it as well.
There was a big play, by the way, if you remember correctly, in the Ohio State-Miami game, which I'm sure you either remember it or don't want to remember it. Either way is fine. But Ohio State was down 7-0, second quarter late. And early second quarter. They're down 7-0. And Julian Sayin threw a screen pass that was intercepted by Keontae Scott from Miami. He took it back 72 yards for a touchdown. Jeremiah Smith said he's to blame for the play because Keontae Scott ran past Smith to get the interception. And here is Jeremiah Smith putting the blame on himself for that interception.
I feel like we started off pretty slow, started to pick things up towards the end, but it was probably too late at that point. But something coming into the year, something that's been in the back of my mind, especially about that play that happened. You could say that play is on me, and something I'm going to learn for sure. It's a humbling moment, and just coming in this offseason. So I'm going to push myself to this offseason and never make that play happen again.
So Smith puts it on him, even though the interception gets credited, or I guess discredited, to Julian Sayin on the interception there that led to the touchdown to put Miami up even more. But that shows maturity, right? That shows a player who knows it's a team sport. And he can't do it alone. And he's one of those guys who doesn't want credit. Look, think about this. Smith in that game had 7 catches, 157 and a touchdown. 7 catches, 157 yards and a touchdown. And he puts that interception on himself and wants to learn from that. Now, as I've told you, Jeremiah Smith, most talented receiver in college football. This will be the third straight year. He is the most talented receiver in college football. Don't try to tell me otherwise. How can Jeremiah Smith, how does he think he can get better? This, again, courtesy of 97.1 The Fan.
I'm always trying to find ways to get better. Always trying to find ways, this offseason to invest my IQ of the game, be better at yards after the catch. That's really the biggest emphasis in our receiver room this year, especially a goal from ours this year. I think we was like you could say the worst team in the yards after the catch last year. We really had no guys that had juice when they had the ball in their hands. So that's something we've been working on as a receiver group this year.
It's going to be fascinating this year to watch how Cortez, how Cortez works with Arthur Smith Hankton and Arthur Smith, that relationship right there is very important. See how Arthur Smith decides. And Arthur Smith was asked, before, and I think I played that sound before. Can you throw too many times? Can you use Jeremiah Smith too much? He said, no, that's a silly question. Of course you can't use him too much. It's Jeremiah Smith for crying out loud. I want to see how that relationship gets fostered and what changes are made. How does Julian Sayin get better under Arthur Smith? How do the receivers change with Hankton there? So, and then on the flip side of that, if you look at the defense, all these new faces are out there. I talked about 51 new players. Matt Patricia last year came on board and worked with what was there. And that was a great thing, but still, Bill Parcells famously said that, some owners or GMs want you to make the dinner, but won't let you buy the ingredients. Now, Matt Patricia's got a chance to buy more ingredients. He has a bigger say on who comes on board for Ohio State to fit his defense. It's going to be so much fun to watch, and it's a tough schedule on top of that. Yes, I believe Ohio State still will be a top 4 seed in the CFP. I do believe it, but there's more question marks this year than there was last year, I believe, strictly because of all the new faces, 51 new faces, Arthur Smith coming in, no Brian Hartline, and another year into Julian Sayin. So many fascinating things part of this. Plus, in the spring, you got running backs that are dinged up. We're going to see other running backs that get reps during spring more than they normally would. It's going to be fun, folks. All right, that's it for me, Jeff Thitoff. Follow me on Twitter @ThatHappens. This has been the Buckeye Blitz, folks. Look, by the time you consume this, is probably still March, April. We got spring football. We ramp it up again. Can't wait. Thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon. This has been the Buckeye Blitz on FanStream Sports.